I got a plethora of applications. And at the same time, I also received many inquiries about how these students and these young architects should go about applying for not just the job opening that I had posted, but for architectural journalism in general. Because a lot of them did not have any formal writing experience. Though they had worked in architecture organizations, they had not really written about architecture ever. And so there were general questions about, how do you apply? Where can we find jobs? Whose work should we read? And how much money can we earn? Is this a viable career option? And so on. And then there was this other realm where some of these kids, they wanted to work for free. So they reached out to me saying that, oh, we don't mind volunteering for you. You don't have to pay us. We'll happily work with you to learn, and so on. So I found myself mentoring many of these small, young, enthusiastic kids, which also made me happy. But at the same time, I was also unhappy with the whole idea that somebody is ready to work for free. Now, architecture has had a background of apprenticeship, wherein creative people or creators work with master craftsmen, and they learn the craft, which is great. I think that is a great practice. But I somehow, when it comes to my work, I don't really identify with that as much, and we will get into that later as well. So yeah, coming back to my conversation with Chaitanya, I asked Chaitanya if we could structure my talk about pursuing a career in architectural journalism, about identifying opportunities, and about the commercials that pertain to architectural journalism and writing in general. And then through my engagement on Instagram, through Q&As, I structured my talk. I came to a consensus about what we're going to talk about. And it also happens that after the pandemic now, like the pandemic is still on, but the lockdown has been lifted, markets are reopening, and I hope that jobs are available again. And by the end of this talk, and perhaps by the end of this month, which we have already approached, you guys go out there, find a lot of good work. I hope I find work so that I can hire more people, and all of us collectively can make a lot of money. That's the end goal always. And yeah, so with that, I'll begin my talk. Chaitanya, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, fine. In case if you lose network or anything, just message me, right?
All right.
So, okay. So a couple of things that in case you don't understand what I am saying, please feel free to interrupt me. Since I cannot really see the Google Meet screen, Chaitanya, you'll have to just point out or intervene while I'm talking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing is that disagree, challenge my ideas, question what I am saying, because I don't want this to be a one-way monologue, but a conversation that we can engage in. The last thing is, and I'm a little hesitant to do this, but it's okay. In case you have any questions that you don't feel comfortable asking on your screen because your name will be revealed, you can WhatsApp me on the number that I have put on the screen, and I'll keep your identity a secret. But this offer is only valid till 8 p.m. today. Right. So we can. Okay. So these are some of my offline works, my work that has been published in print. There is the People Called series. You have People Called Shillong, People Called Kala Ghoda. I worked on the Asian Paints trend report earlier back in Jan 2020. And of course, like I mentioned, I am also the sub-editor of Indian Architect and Builder. This is what I have done offline. A reason why I am putting this on the screen is so that I can nudge you guys to go and buy the books. Now, this is some of my online work. There is...
Ma'am?
Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. There's a small dialog box that appears at the bottom of the screen about the meet sharing. Can you please hide that?
Yeah, better?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Chaitanya, somebody just pinged me saying that she can't get in. Nobody is letting her in.
Oh, actually, I didn't get any requests. I'll see again.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Okay. So that's that. So I was at my online work, right? All right. So this is some of the work that is up online. So you can Google them and you can read it up after the talk. So and what I'll be saying now is something that Meghna and Krishna Priya have already addressed upon. So I'll not go into depth. But what I believe is that people who can string words together can definitely make a living from writing. What you need to understand is what you want to do with your writing. And now what you want to do with your writing, be it critical thinking, some kind of analysis, some kind of reflection, is something that has been spoken about. So I will leave it at that. But I will want to delve into a discussion that I had with my mentor, Anuj Daga. He said that you need to find your voice and what you want to do with it. Because often when we look at any practice, be it building or writing, our first thought is, who can I work with? Where can I get a job with this particular skill set? Where can I plug myself in the existing market? And the market will offer you work. There are architectural magazines, there are ad agencies, there are so many publications who will have work for you. But before you do that, you have to understand that as a professional, how does your writing generate a larger conversation? Like, can you be a thought leader or a change maker through this medium of writing that you have adopted? Yeah. So, okay. So I'll come to my very first work, which was a literal example of people who can string words together can definitely make a living from writing. So now, back in 2015, I was approached by a digital marketing agency, and they wanted me to strategize social media for their client. The client was a leading paint company who wanted to rebrand their online narrative as thought leaders in the space of interior design, decor, and architecture. So I took that up as a side hustle and I continued with my architecture job during the daytime. So when I worked with their marketing team, they figured that their followers were non-architects and designers and had to generate content that was comprehensible to the layman, and especially women, because women are keener on home decor and are the authority when it comes to decor decisions in the house. Now, I will give a disclaimer. This was the marketing team's analysis. This I know is sexist and it was not my analysis, and I'm not sure if I even relate to it. But yeah, moving on. So then what we did is we made a social media strategy for their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and which was focused largely on the imagery, which was focused on beautiful pictures, interesting images, and the type of writing was fun. It was easy, it was light, it was not dumb or unintelligent. But at the same time, there was no larger perspective or conversation that we were generating. We were simply running a campaign for 6 months. And that worked. Uh, I wrote nice, good copy like the ones that you read on your screen right now. And then this is, sorry, yeah. And this we did this for close to 3 to 4 months, and then we saw an increase in the number of architects and designers who started following the paint company, because we were talking about their projects, we were talking about design, we only made the language more accessible to the common man. So at the end of 6 months, we saw that we had architects following us and designers following us. My agency was happy because the client was happy, and yeah, I was of course paid well for it, and so I was also very happy. Then once I now with this experience, I understood that okay, writing is something that I enjoy. It's fun, and let's see what more can I do with this after my stint with the agency. Let's see where I can take this. So then I approached a decor blog. I showed them the little portfolio that they had generated. I told them I will handle your social media, I will handle Instagram, and I'll handle the website for you. And I also went to him with some writing samples, and I also created content for the decor portal. I told them that this is what exists, this is what I can create for you. Would you be interested in hiring me? He was on board. I got the gig. And then again, we were creating these blogs about, 5 ways to do this, 5 ways to do that, decor tips, do it yourself, listicles, how, like happy homes and such content. So yeah, that's the kind of imagery that we were working with. That's our Twitter copy that I wrote. Then I made these ebooks also for him. And if you will notice, the ebook is more about composition, putting together pictures and colors and text and balancing the layouts than it is about what is written about in it, which does not mean that the writing is not important, but even how you present your writing is as important. So then after working for a while with the decor blog, I realized that, okay, now I want to up my writing game. I want to now learn. I want to grow. I want to figure a way to grow in the spectrum of architectural journalism, get a little serious and indulge in some serious writing, and at the same time make money also. So that is when I got in touch with the People Place project, and I did some of my best work with them. So the People Place project explored text as a tool of placemaking and foster a spirit of city consciousness. So my first work with them was People Called Shillong. This is also my first work which was which was published in print. We were 15 writers who contributed 50 stories to the book. The idea of the People Called series is to understand a city through the perspective of the people who inhabit it, the person, their understanding, their relationship, and the narrative with their city. So our protagonist here becomes a lens and a window to understand the city. And 55 such stories offer us a rereading of the place. So I have the book also here. Yeah, this is the book that came out. Can you all see it? Hello?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
we can see.
So you'll be seeing a mirrored image of it, but yeah, this is the book that came, and I'm not sure if it's very clear on your screen, but cool. Moving on. Yes. So the process of writing for the book was, we visited the city, we went to places, we spoke to the people, we learned about the city before visiting the city. We learned about the culture, we learned about its history, their food habits, and aspects pertaining to geography and such entities. And we spoke to the people, we understood about their lives, how they live their daily lives, what is, what are their aspirations from the city, and so on. And these are some images. And finally, our 15 writers, we wrote our stories, and then the book was published. So after this exercise of writing for People Called Shillong, I got associated with PPP as their sub-editor, which is when I went to Kolkata to work for, conduct a writing and mapping workshop for aspiring writers who wanted to write for People Called Kolkata. So this is a writing conclave that was conducted to orient the writers to the process of writing. I spoke to them about ways of mapping, communicating, and my responsibility also involved in telling them and instructing them about a particular format that we follow for the books, and essentially pushing them to go out there, talk to people, get their stories, and write it down. So these were the participants. I think quite a few of them did end up writing for the book, and the book was published last year in October. Oh, 1 year ago. That happened around 12th October. So yeah, it's been a year to that as well. So then similarly, we did mapping exercises in colleges in Mumbai, wherein the premise would be perhaps understanding a Koli village or a certain area in the city through identifying people and their stories. So here again, writing becomes a medium of expression, and alongside writing, even illustrations became a medium of communication. So yeah. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that how writing becomes how writing is not a major component of the work that I conducted, but it opens up various ways of engagement. So this was my work that I do with the People Place project. This is, for me, it's more of a cultural project. I work on this project with a lot of let me say, love and regard for the larger idea of placemaking that the initiative is trying to foster. Then comes my work for Indian Architect and Builder. So this used to be a print magazine. Now we are totally digital after the pandemic. And so before I go on, so with IAB, what I want to explain is how a magazine works. Okay. So what happens is that a magazine like IAB earns its revenues through ads. It is a B2B magazine. By B2B, I mean business to business, which means that our readers are professionals from the design and construction fraternity. We have architects, interior designer, architecture students, and such design students who read the magazine. So they are our audience. And when we have advertisements in the magazine who give us money, since we give them ad space, we also have to create a narrative that the reader will read, and as well as what resonates with the brand and the kind of products that they are advertising on the magazine. So typically, if you will see, we have people who we have facade consultants who advertise with us. We have interior hardware brands who advertise with us. We have plywood brands who advertise with us, and so on. So similarly, the narrative that we create pertains to what their product is, and it doesn't have to be their product. It is never their product, but it has to go in line with what they also sell. So we're talking about architectural hardware, as I said, facades, and so on. So this is a project called Temenos by Studio Lotus, wherein we spoke about its facade and engineering and cityscape and the street and so on. So mainly IAB does project features, but that does not mean that we don't have fun with other things as well in the magazine, or we don't try to create a larger conversation. For example, we did an issue on designing for the future, wherein Banduk Smith Studio had a very cheeky way of looking at how we will be designing the future, wherein perhaps we will grow our food on sea. So then we don't have to salt our food, but we get food that is already salted. And that way we also take advantage of land. We take advantage of space on sea and free up the land for other use. So similarly, they proposed sewage, what can be done with sewage and filtration systems and so on. Then I did an article with the photographer Kunal Bhatia, wherein we spoke about photographers and their perspective towards architecture. So Kunal, if you know, he is also an architect who now practices architectural photography. So we had a long discussion on how architects build buildings and how the photographer captures them in frames. So As a writer, my medium of storytelling is text. His medium becomes the photograph. And then how do you efficiently communicate spaces that are three-dimensional into pictures that is two-dimensional? So that is what the article was investigating. And then there was also a larger conversation about using human beings in the frame. So in architecture school, we are taught to use human beings for scale. But often what happens is that they end up becoming props or accessories for a picture to somehow become more interesting. So, so the article also discussed, how do you draw the line between function, human figure as a function, and human figure as an accessory. So the point that I'm trying to make here with Temenos, the Stimulus publication, and through this current article that you see on your screen, is that how even in the magazine, we balanced our commercial requirements as well as fulfilled the larger need of generating ideas. So, okay. Now, the next work that I will talk about is my work for Biltrax Media. Now, Biltrax Media is a data analytics company. It is an online portal that is looking at streamlining the construction industry. I will not talk about what Biltrax Analytics does. You can look it up after the talk. But I'll talk about what I am doing for Biltrax Media right now and how I approached this particular platform to do what I am doing for them. So, and I have to mention that this was not my work alone. I was helped by my mentor and former colleague Parvez Menon to create a pitch for Biltrax Media. So we approached Biltrax Media and we told them that let us handle your publications, let us handle your writing. And we showed them a pitch, a proposal as to what can be done with the platform. And we gave them a vision for 6 months. This is the kind of articles that we will create. This is the kind of leads that we will perhaps generate for you. And then we can look at a certain number of audience after 6 months and how can we monetize this space for you. And that is how I got this gig and I am working as the associate editor here. So, right. So the idea here is that often work might not really come to you, but you will have to go looking. You will have to search online, talk to people, and see where it is that you can plug yourself in, where it is that you create an opportunity for yourself, and then take it on from there. I'll just take a sip of water. Right. So the next project that I will talk about is Modern Money. Now, this is not architectural writing. This talks about money for millennials. I will not even get into what I write about for Worthwhile, but I will tell you how I got this writing gig. It was very simple. I just approached Payal Khandelwal. I know that she is from the Floating magazine, and this happened back in April or May during the pandemic. I wrote to her saying that, okay, I'm looking for work. I sent her some of my articles, and I told her that if you have something that you feel that I can work on, please let me know. She reached out to me after a week saying that, okay, I'm working on Worthwhile. Is this something that interests you? If so, share your piece with me. I gave her a quote. We negotiated a bit. We came to a common number. And then, yeah, that's how I started writing for Worthwhile. So the point that I'm making here is, given all my work, sometimes getting work is as easy as just sending out your resume, approaching a publication and telling them that you want work, and then negotiating your fees and rates, and then boom, you start working. And often it is as detailed as the work that I did for Biltrax Media, wherein you first identify the opportunity and that too, this opportunity was identified by Parvez and it was presented to me. And then you make a pitch, you make a proposal, you pursue the potential client, and perhaps after a month or two something realizes, and then you work on that for the long term, and you then try to understand how you use the platform for the platform's benefit, as well as the larger cause of generating conversation around certain entities. So yes, so we discussed finding opportunities, we discussed creating work. Now we'll get to the elephant in the room, which is charging for your work. Now, when I started my talk, I spoke about how many students reached out to me saying that they will work for free and they want to learn and so on. And why I feel that everyone should charge for their work, or let me put it this way, why I will not hire someone to work for me for free is because, okay, so the reason why I feel I will not hire anyone to work for me for free is because there is no accountability when I hire someone to work for free. I cannot hold them accountable for their mistakes or give them any serious responsibilities, because I mean, see, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the person will not be sincere, but I will just not be comfortable in pushing the person or being a little strict or being stern when they make mistakes. For me, it just comes down to that, So, and also, why would anyone want to offer their labor for free? Instead of working for me, would you rather not work on educating yourself, building a portfolio, and then pitching or then applying to work? But again, this is just my opinion. Many people disagree with me, and I agree that we should agree to disagree. I hope that makes sense. But so yeah, that's my take on working for free. And how do you charge? A lot of people ask me, how do we charge for when we are writing? So what I tell them is that you understand the quantum of work that you're undertaking. Understand the deliverables. Are you writing one article? Are you writing 5 articles? How many words go into this article? Is it a 500 word article? Is it a 1,000 word article? Then understand how many revisions will you do for an article, and this is how you will calculate the number of days that you will put in for any given work. So for example, maybe something takes 5 days for you to do. Some other things might take 10 days. Then you have to know how much are you going to charge per day. And you come to this calculation by knowing what would be the salary that you would be receiving if you were, say, working for a full-time job. Or you take that decision for yourself. Okay, my worth for a day's work is 1,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. Or if my contemporary is getting paid 15,000 a month, then what I should be getting paid is 15,000 divided by 30 days, 20 days. You come to a figure, and then you realize that if I'm charging 1,000 rupees a day, then 5 दिन के काम के लिए I should charge 1,000 into 5, maybe 5,000 rupees. That is how I usually calculate. That is how I tell people to calculate. Again, this discussion is very open-ended. It is very subjective. So I would say, take my advice, but feel free to do as you think is correct. My word is not the gospel. I think nobody's word should be the gospel. Always know your worth and know what value you bring to the table, and which is very, very important. So, and then we come to how and when do you negotiate. Now, often I do not really negotiate when I see a particular piece of work as something that will build a portfolio for me. When I see a particular piece of work too that will improve my skill set, be it my writing or analytical thinking, critical thinking, if a particular kind of work exposes me to a network, then I will perhaps not really not negotiate for that kind of work as well. So again, this is very subjective, and also realize that to make such decisions, I come from a certain kind of privilege wherein I live with my family. I don't have to pay rent, so I can afford to, not make money sometimes. But that might not be the case with everyone. So these are tough calls, but this is the way life works. So you have to balance your commercial aspect and your cultural aspiration wala aspect, and then see whether you want to negotiate or not. But having said that, and I firmly abide by what I'm going to say next, if you are ghostwriting for someone and you know you'll do a good job and you will deliver on time, do not, I think you should charge a good fee for ghostwriting work. Take up ghostwriting, and I think earn good money from it. I will just be as blunt as it gets about that. Also, one more thing that I want to put here when it comes when we talk about working for free versus charging for your work is that understand that today if you charge for your work, no, tomorrow you will be in a better situation to pay your employees a higher salary, and then this will trickle down to the future generation. Perhaps today the reason why we work at low wages is because maybe because 5 years before me someone worked for free and did not take the appropriate fee from a client. I'm just contemplating here. I don't know. You can definitely counter me on this. So I feel that today, when I want to pay my employees better, I will ask for more fee from my clients, and hopefully then empower my employees to become strong professionals and take this practice of earning good money for yourself onto the future as well. So yeah, I come from that utopian space, and I hope together all of us can make that happen for each other. And yeah, so now I will make a jump to this one particular question that a lot of you asked me as to, who should we follow, whose work should we read, which is, and to answer that, there is a very exhaustive list which I have already covered on Instagram. But I will quickly talk about 4 people, starting with Nishan Gupta. The first 2 are my mentors and who have shaped and who have guided me. The other 2 are, the next one is a contemporary of mine. She's 1 year senior to me. We studied together in college. And then there is one very bright upcoming author who I'll be talking about. So this is Nishan Gupta. If you guys remember, I spoke about the People Place project and the People Called Shillong book, People Called Kolkata, and also the fact that this is the practice with whom I have done my best work. So yeah, she is the founder of the People Place project. So she had her own architectural review column in Times of India, Ahmedabad, back in 2011-2012. It was a weekly, Sunday weekly edition. So she did that for a year. Then in 2013, she founded Design Variable, which is an architectural practice, which was followed by the People Place project because somewhere she felt the need to pursue not writing, but place making into her practice as well. I will not speak in depth about PPP because you can look up their website. It has immense information out there, and I will really not do justice to the great body of work that the People Place project have created. So please do that after this talk. The next is Anuj Daga. Again, a very dear mentor, a friend. And he was inspired by this architect Rohan Shivkumar, who's also a filmmaker now. And what Anuj saw in Rohan's writing was, or what he drew from Rohan's writing, was that there was a certain meaning finding and certain attempt to establish a relationship with the built environment around us in the everyday. So, so then inspired by him, Anuj started his blog, and the blog became a reflective space where it then organically grew into a network of similar thinkers. And again, I don't want to speak much for his process. I think you should just look up the two links that I have given. That will give you a fair idea into what Anuj is doing. The point that I want to make here is that Anuj is also an academician. He is not pursuing writing as a mainstream career, but the kind of writing that he is doing finds place in very prestigious magazines and journals like Art India, IAB, and so on. So that is, and it was through his blog and such, and his work with other artists that uh, that is where his writing was noticed, shared, and so on. So even as an academician, he enjoys the process of writing and reflecting. So that is how he has navigated his writing practice. So what I learned from him is that you don't have to be a mainstream writer or pursue a career actively in writing to write. There are many things that you can do, and writing can become a way of furthering that. So this is something that you should perhaps give a thought. And again, Anuj's writing, even Nisha's writing, you can look up her writing. If you Google Nisha Nair, Times of India, you will find some of her work over there and go through it. I think it's beautiful. There is no jargon in it. It's simple, intelligent writing, and just so much to learn from those 600 or 1,000 word articles that she has written. And ditto for Anuj's work. Beautiful, beautiful writing. Okay, I'll just stop romanticizing about these people. I respect them a lot, and that is the space that I come from. Then next is this young architect. She graduated just a few years ago, Suha Khopatkar, and she wrote a novel about her experience through architecture college. So I will just read out from the description that she gave me. It's a non-fictional telltale based on real life experiences of an architectural student, packed with humorous narratives and illustrations that sequentially unfold the psychological and professional transformation of a student over the last 5 years of college. For her, writing, so this is what the novel is about. And what happened with Suha is that when she was, I think, in a second year or third year, and see, we all know how difficult your third year is. Let's just all agree. I don't think anybody will disagree when it comes to third year. In fact, if you see Suha's book now, she has, okay. Hi, can you stop presenting and yeah, can you see the book now?
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope I'm holding it. Okay, you will see a mirrored image of it. So this is a novel that Subha came up with when she graduated, and she started writing in her third year. And so if you will see, it's a great book with some really nice illustrations and beautiful stories in it. But see what she has done when she's depicting her third year of architecture. This is how she chose to do it, against a dark background, as a metaphor for what happens in the third year of our college. So wait, I'll just start sharing my screen now. Yeah, can you see my screen, Chaitanya?
No, not yet.
Wait. Can you see it now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So the point that I am making with citing Suha as an example is that she is also into architectural journalism, but this book was an outcome of. Oops. Can you still see my screen?
No. on.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah, you can see it now, right?
Yes.
The point that I'm trying to make is that she used writing as something that would, give her clarity, something that was like an emotional anchor, and then she converted that into a fabulous novel. So I think, as an example, she is someone that you should look up and see what she is doing now with her career. I will again not get into that. That's for you to look up and to gauge and see what you want to do with that information. Then my last person who I will want to talk about, this is Nitya Lakshmi Iyer. Nitya is 1 year senior to me. She was my senior in architecture college. We did the Nari Gandhi trophy together. She was also one of those people who really pushed me to write. Back then I hated writing, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but yes, back then I did not like to write, and Nitya used to really push me to write. And so Nitya engaged in writing when she was doing her masters in University of Pennsylvania. And now for her work, that was academic writing that she did. Now she works as the head of documentation, research, and outreach for the Art Deco Mumbai Trust. It's again an online portal. They are documenting Art Deco architecture in Mumbai. I'm sure you know about it. If you don't, please go and look up the work that they are doing. So, so Nitya engaged with writing for academic purposes, and now she writes for outreach, for certain kind of activism to generate awareness about conservation and the work that this organization is doing. So Nitya and Suha, now for me, they are examples of who have created a space for their writing. Um, by not really fitting into a prototype or not really engaging with what the market need is in terms of looking for jobs, and then can I become a content writer, perhaps can I become a sub editor, which is also great. I'm not saying that it's not good or anything of that sort, but it's very unique in the manner that they have shifted their career, how they have created their own niche, like they made their own market in a way, and now they operate from there. So yeah, and then there are many examples who I can cite. There is, I'm sure you guys know Think Matter, which is headed by Rituraj Parekh and Mansi Hatankadi. Then there is Gautam Bhatia. He is a very, very senior architect and a very respected writer as well. Sarovar Zaidi, I mentioned Rohan Shivkumar. Then there is Nehanshu Mukherjee, who I look up to for his writing. And yeah, I think the list is endless. So to finish with, I would say keep reading, keep looking up things online, and don't stop thinking. Generate ideas, um, try and generate opportunities. I think it's very early to ask you to generate opportunities for yourself, but develop your writing in terms of why do you want to write, what do you want to write about, and eventually, if you keep at it, it sounds very cliched, but you will find your niche and things will hopefully fall into place. I am myself someone who is still exploring. I feel things are yet to fall into place for me, but what is important is that you keep learning and you keep trying. So yeah, on that very Gyani note, I think we can open up the conversation for questions now. Chaitanya?
Yes.
Yeah, I am. My screen sharing has, no, wait. Yeah. Okay, you don't see the PPT anymore, right?
No, no.
Great. Do we have any questions? Oh, we Yeah, we don't even have any anonymous questions. So yeah, though I do have some questions, I will get to that once we open up this. Once we have, okay.
So Tripti, I would like to ask you, you were
Hmm.
mentioning that we should like start building a portfolio.
Hmm.
Being in an architecture college, we actually are very away from writing a lot. So how can, in short, can you explain how can we start building a writing portfolio?
Mm, okay. I'll tell you what. So to be able to write, you should be able to read. Correct. So I would say that read a lot, read as much as you can to begin with, and then you guys work on design projects, right? All across 5 years, you work on at least 2 projects a year. So that brings you to like 10 projects through the course of your architecture school. So you can reflect upon your design, you can maybe write about your design, and the previous speakers have already spoken about how to write and methods of writing and so on. So use that to perhaps create writing about your own design. That is maybe one way of doing things, because even when I give a call for interns or potential employees, um, I tell them, I don't really ask for written sample. I tell them, ki even if you've written something for your panels or for your own design work, that's good enough. Send it to me. So use your design as an opportunity to create, yeah, some reflection and of critical thinking and so on. I hope
Okay.
that helps.
Yeah, that will be a great example
Also,
to
what you
start.
can do is now, if you feel confident, you can even reach out to certain publications and ask them to feature your work or your writing, you know. So then hopefully the editor should also be able to guide you in terms of what they are looking at, and how you can develop your writing if the editor has time. I'm not sure if they are usually very busy people, but back in IAB we used to always try, and whenever we were approached by a student ki okay, they want to submit an essay or they want to write something, we would always try and help them out with their writing and publishing. So yeah. Anything else? Mm,
I had a question. This is
mm-hmm,
Shriti.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, so I wanted to know, you said that find these publications and see if you can approach them, right? So,
mm-hmm,
how do we find some of the publications that are there, they might not like publish certain kind of work, right? So, how do
mm-hmm.
you find these publications? Because some of them are very research oriented, or I'm not like very sure about them, but from what I've known so far, because say for example, I've done my research thesis and I want to publish it somewhere, as
Right.
so which is what a lot of people do. So how do you find out what publishers to approach? Because there are quite a few now, but a lot of them don't.
See, you will have to understand what the magazine writes about. So, for example, an IAB is very different from an architectural digest, is a very different from a landscape journal. So, you have to do your homework in terms of where your writing fits in and how your writing aligns with the vision of the magazine. So, and that is purely homework. Often, it may also happen that you might have to tweak or adapt your what you have written or what you want to present as per what a magazine is looking at. So you have to be open to that as well, you know. But how do I put it? The answer to this is this, that you have to do your homework. You have to look up magazine, read the magazines, and see how you can how your essay can be a value addition to the magazine as well. Because I also feel that, at least coming from my personal experience, I still feel very happy when somebody reaches out to me and tells me, okay, I went through this particular issue and I feel that what I have written will probably be a good fit for you. Why don't you review it? So yeah, I hope that answers your question though.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone? Okay, Anjali. Is architectural writer different from architectural journalist? Yes, yes, yep. Um, it is different. Architectural journalism is different from architectural writing. I would say perhaps architectural journalism is architectural writing, is a form of writing, but not all architectural writing is architectural journalism. So, for example, if I am, say, creating content for an architect's project, or if I am writing about somebody's work, it could just be building content and describing the project for a press release or for his website. But I will not call that architectural journalism. Architectural journalism is when you bring about a perspective or some kind of analysis or critical thinking, and it's a huge realm. So I will not get into the technicalities, but long story short, yeah, they are different.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Actually, I wanted to focus on that question because right now I'm in my final year. So when I approach to any publication or any I am writing currently. So I write about my travel when I travel and what I have observed and what my perspective is about. I've been to places, so about them, or maybe about a building, as you said. So some that type of writings, and sometimes a poem about how I would describe them. Okay, so when I try to approach them, how should I approach it? Like, should I consider myself as an architectural writer, or should I consider myself as journalist? Because I'm really not sure about it.
Mm, See, honestly, I don't think I'm in a place to tell you whether you're a journalist or a writer. I will not bracket you into that. Is a call that I think you have to reflect and you have to um, really figure out that space for you, for yourself. Um, I'm sorry, could you repeat that question one more time, perhaps, for me?
Yeah, I'm actually currently as I'm not a professional writer. Okay,
Huh,
I've only had the experience like when I'm traveling to places, like
right.
I have visited some places. Okay, so I write how I feel there. What's my perspective about that place? Okay,
Hmm.
and other way I have written about like some of buildings, like I've right now mentioned, like how that building felt to me, or maybe a
Hmm.
critical approach sometime, or maybe sometime a journalist approach towards the building. So
Hmm.
I have some of the collections when I have built up my portfolio and when I'm applying for the publication. So I'm really not sure how to label myself. Actually, label in the sense my job actually, what for which role I'm asking for.
Okay, okay. Right. I am really not sure how to answer that because when it comes to applying for a role, usually a role is already designated. That's one way of looking at it. But when you are, say, pitching yourself, since you mentioned that you do investigate and you do maybe think critically as well, I think it would be safe to place yourself as an architectural journalist. I'm still not sure. Maybe you can, like, just share some work and we can have a discussion after the webinar or something of that sort. Because
Yeah,
I
definitely,
don't
ma'am.
want to tell you something which is not correct.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Anything else? Anyone? Is Chaitanya not here?
Yes, I'm here. I
Oh yeah,
think,
I saw you.
yeah.
Right.
So maybe you can continue with your questions.
My questions. So there was one that asked about how do you build a portfolio. So Chaitanya, you did answer that one, and I'll just open my. Hmm, Interiors. Actually, most questions are about how do you ask for money. Uh, and I think we already covered that. It's a very personal thing also. You have to just know your priorities, and yeah. And then there was
Yeah.
about the portfolio as well. How did you acquire work? I have covered that. Um, should we take up courses that are being provided on different platforms? That is why not learn. I think you should always keep learning, keep studying. So if it's something that interests you and you think you can learn from it, definitely do it. But also know that nothing is really like the gospel truth. So always think critically, even when you are taking a course or learning from someone. And so on. So yeah, Chaitanya, I think I am good with what I had to talk about, and I am not. I don't think people have any questions as such. So
All right. So if there are no questions, I'll conclude. So thank you so much, Shriti, for such a nice webinar. I really enjoyed it. It was very interesting,
I
and
hope.
thank you for telling us, what how things actually work on field.
Hmm.
Everything you said was very helpful, and I hope
Chaitanya, can I
in
just interrupt you? Sorry.
yeah.
I spoke from my experience. All right, this is more of a personal account than perhaps somebody else's experience will be different. So yeah, this comes largely from personal experience, and maybe your experience, somebody else's experience might be different. And yeah, so sorry to interrupt you. Please continue.
Yes,
Just wanted
and
to do that.
yeah, I think we were also able to relate to your experiences at some level, since in college we also do some mapping exercises, and we have,
Hmm.
we could relate. I could relate to a lot of examples which you shared. So
Yeah.
in all, I think the webinar was very successful in whatever our intent was. With this, I would also like to conclude our series of the architecture, journalism, and writing. And all the recordings of the lectures are going to be uploaded on the our college website, that is the Academy of Architecture website, and
Hmm.
also on the World Architecture Community page website. So if anyone wants to refer back to the earlier sessions, they can do it through the videos.
Hmm.
Thanks a lot, Shruti, for having.
Thank you so much for calling me, and yeah.
Yeah, it was great talking with you. Thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for listening and joining in the conversation.